What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to another Football Manager Simulates. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to see how Barcelona FC and Real Madrid would get on if they played in the English Premier Division. This is going to be very, very interesting just because I really don't know what's going to happen here. I can't help but feel like in having two more really big teams competing in the top six, we're going to see more of a managerial merry-go-round than the Premier League has seen already this year in real life. It's been absolutely crazy. You can see we have Barcelona here, who, if we just have a look at their profile, they're predicted to finish first in the Premier League with their current squad. Meanwhile, for Real Madrid, they're predicted third. We can have a look at the season preview here. We're going to go forward a season at a time, look at the transfer dealings they do, the managerial movements that happen in the Premier League. If you do enjoy this video, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this. So to start off this FM Simulates, I have to give a shout out to the sponsor of the series here on the channel at the moment, and that is the OneFootball app, which is a free app available for iOS and Android. You can use it to subscribe to teams, to divisions, to certain players, keep up to date and get all your footballing news on one centralised free app to download. I use it on the daily. If you play Football Manager, you have teams that are obscure that you can't keep up to date with, but feel near and dear to your heart. OneFootball allows you to keep up to date with them. Check the referral link at the top of the description, and a massive thank you to them for sponsoring this video. So here we are, guys, the end of the 2020 season, and when you say 2020 aloud, it sounds like dystopian science fiction future. Next month is 2020. My brain can't get its head around that, but here you can see the Premier League. I don't think the Premier League table is going to look like this next year because we have two teams that don't belong in the Premier League. Real Madrid and Barcelona, and well, you can see here they have finished second and third. The winners of the league were Manchester City. Real Madrid came second, Barcelona came third, and Liverpool occupied the top four. And to be fair, if you were to ask me at the start of the year what I thought the top four teams would be, I probably would have gone with these four. You can see, as a result of the, increased competition at the top of the league, Chelsea this year have completely missed out on any kind of European football. We can look at the managerial movements here, and while Steven Gerrard has joined Bournemouth, Pochettino has been sacked at the end of the season, Marco Silva's been sacked, and Hasenhüttl has also been sacked at Southampton. So interesting to note, Chelsea, at least right now, they're showing some patience with Frank Lampard. They're showing some loyalty to him, which I'm a little bit surprised about. Their media prediction was 5th. If we actually look at the season preview here, you can see exactly how the game for the Premier League would be lined up. So they had Arsenal down in 8th, so they've done pretty well to finish where they finished. You can see here, this is the end of Season 1 Premier League Best 11. So in terms of unusual candidates, you've got Varane at centre-back and Messi at striker. But surprisingly, perhaps, they are the only two kind of Real Madrid and Barcelona players in this team. You can see if we look at the key players, Eden Hazard leads the way as one of Real Madrid's key players and also the third most key player in the league. To be fair to him, he's very blooming good, isn't he, in Football Manager? Let's have a look. So there wasn't any real managerial changes. In terms of transfers, who was spending the big cash in the Premier League? And it looks like half the teams are just selling players. Will Hughes was signed by Manchester United. Manchester City signed Askasibar. I think that's how you say his name. Answers on a postcard. Who did Real Madrid sign? So Real Madrid have signed Christopher Ayer from Celtic, and they've also signed Everton from Gremio. Did Barcelona spend any money? I mean, if they did, they haven't spent it on anyone particularly big, although these deals were all done in January. It'll be interesting to see over the next few years what kind of further transfer dealings they might do. You can see a few transfers going on, including Mariano potentially moving to Everton. Zidane, of course, still in charge of Real Madrid. Nothing too surprising there. And, of course, Barcelona, just to confirm, Valverde is still their manager. That wasn't, missing anywhere. If we look at player stats, Aguero was top goal scorer. Chris Wood, more goals than Luis Suarez. I mean, eat your heart out, Louis. You're not up to the task of mighty Chris Wood. I mean, let's just compare them because this is necessary. There you go. I mean, Suarez is good, but he can't jump as high in the air. So who's the real winner? Anyway, you can see Messi did get one of the highest average ratings in the league, although Aguero led the way there. De Bruyne got most assists too, so it looks like the Aguero and De Bruyne show was enough really to carry Manchester City to the title. You can see Hazard got 11 assists, but that was somewhat off the pace of De Bruyne. Meanwhile, Ozil hitting double figures for assists. I wonder if he was one of the key reasons that Arsenal managed to get 5th when they were predicted to get 8th at the start of the year. If we look at the average ratings, you can see a few Real Madrid and Barcelona players here. The likes of Hazard, Luis Suarez, Griezmann doing very well as well. And I feel like anything above a 7.0 is a pretty good rating. And kind of unsurprisingly, the top 4 clubs are the clubs running away with it and who appear to have the players who have had the best performances. Barcelona had the best defence in the league. Ter Stegen kept 18 clean sheets. I realise that's a sweeping statement. Really, we should look at the goals conceded. And actually, you can see here, Real Madrid, they conceded 27. And then Manchester City, Barcelona and Liverpool all only conceded 30. And actually, in the case of Barcelona and Liverpool, they had almost everything identical, except Liverpool drew 1 extra game. Now, Manchester City's points total is still pretty good at 83 points, but that is lower than I would have expected, having played a few years in Football Manager. So there's definitely more teams taking points off one another. You can see Manchester City actually lost twice to Manchester United and once to Barcelona. And when it came to their draws, I am not seeing Barcelona or Real Madrid there. So I guess they did pretty well in those competitions. So let's have a look, shall we, at how Real Madrid and Barcelona did specifically. We can look at their schedules here. They are going to be playing in the Champions League this first year because they qualify for it from their positions last year in Spain. But from this year onwards, it's going to be entirely based on their Premier League performance. And well, you can see here in the FA Cup, Real Madrid were knocked out by Barcelona on penalties. And in the Champions League knockout rounds, Real Madrid lost to Leverkusen. In the EFL Cup, they made it to the quarterfinals where they lost to Manchester City. And, well, shall we have a look at where Barcelona went right and went wrong when it came to their cup competitions? Could they do anything? Interestingly enough, they are playing in the Copa del Rey this year. They shouldn't be entered into it from, following seasons. We'll have to keep an eye on that. You might be able to imagine when you put teams from Spain in the Premier League, Football Manager does get a little bit confused as to what's happening. But anyway, in the FA Cup, they made it all the way to the final where they lost to Liverpool 1-0. A Sadio Mane goal the difference. And then in the EFL Cup, they got knocked out to Manchester City in the 4th round. So Manchester City have been making the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid's kind of seasons a living hell. It seems like they've just been absolutely bullying them and getting lots of critical wins. And, well, Aguero got 37 goals in all competitions. I know someone will ask if I don't have a look. Let's have a look at who won the Champions League, shall we, for the first year. And it was Benfica. They beat Atletico Madrid, who, of course, are now uncontested in Spain. I mean, not what I would have predicted, but fair play to Benfica. I know someone's going to ask, Jack, what's happening in Spain? The answer is Atleti haven't won the league. The winners of the league were Valencia. And I know some people are going to ask, if there's 20 teams in the Premier League, what happened to 2 of the teams who got replaced? Don't worry. Sheffield United and Brighton, they've made themselves at home in La Liga. Now, we're not going to be following their adventure, but they're nestled comfortably in mid-table. They've got a nice living going on for themselves. We might check up on them from time to time to make sure they're still existing. But, yeah, Atleti, surprisingly not able to take, I guess, the Barcelona throne of the last few years by winning the La Liga title in their absence. Anyway, that concludes the first season. Let's go forward to the end of 2021. I'm anticipating some big transfer budget to have been spent. Will either team be competing at the top of the table? Let's find out. So folks, it is the end of the second season of Real Madrid and Barcelona in the Premier League. Last time they finished 2nd and 3rd. What the hell happened this year? Liverpool have won the league. They've got 90 points, which is a very good total. That is significantly more than Man City got last year. Real Madrid have finished 4th, and then I was confused. I was thinking, did the database glitch out? Did Barcelona go back to Spain? They might as well be packing their bags up and going back to Spain. They have finished 8th, which is absolutely abysmal. And you can see Messi did still play very, very well for them, but Messi on his own couldn't carry a team. He's probably getting flashbacks to playing at Kettering. I realise if you don't know that reference, you might be new here. We did an experiment where we made Messi and Ronaldo play at non-league clubs for about 2 decades in Football Manager. If you want to check that out, I do recommend it. But yeah, not a dissimilar thing going on here. I feel like we need to start at Barcelona. So Valverde is still their manager. They've not sacked him. They've not let him go. And they finished 8th. What did they spend their transfer budget on? Let's have a look. So they spent 134 million. They spent 70 million of that on Bentancur. Now, of course, they're going to be getting Premier League money here. So they are going to have significantly more money than they would perhaps normally have playing in La Liga. Interestingly enough, they spent a lot of money, but they brought in Bentancur, who, I mean, actually, he did quite well across the season. 8 goals from centre mid isn't anything to be scoffed at. And then they brought in 2 players from Ligue 1. They brought in Memphis Depay from Lyon, who he's not done that bad either. 10 goals in 21 games. I would give him a pass for that. And the other player they brought in is Florian Thauvin, I think that's how you'd say his name, of Marseille. And he's not really played that much. But when he has played, he's done very blooming well. He's got 4 goals in 10 Premier League appearances, and 5 of those were on off the bench. So what else was happening at the team here? Oh, Luis Suarez is out injured. He's got a twisted ankle. Jordi Alba's out injured. I mean, maybe they just prioritised other competitions, but it doesn't look superb for them. Let's have a look at how they've got on in other competitions. So they lost in the EFL Cup final. To who else? It was Manchester City, although a ter Stegen own goal was the difference maker. That's going to be a little bit upsetting. They continued their dominance over Real Madrid in cup competitions. They knocked Real Madrid out the FA Cup. And in the Champions League, they made it to the knockout stages, but lost to PSG quite comprehensively. So that's a little bit of a situation. I'm surprised they finished as low down as 8th, but then they're not too many points off the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United and Chelsea. Meanwhile, Real Madrid have finished 4th. Their media prediction was 4th, to be fair. I guess we can look at the media predictions here. So Barcelona have significantly underperformed. They were predicted to finish 3rd. You can see an updated best 11 here. So actually it's Carvajal at left back and then Frankie de Jong, who they've decided is a centre back now. The media. This is why the media shouldn't pick team of the weeks and best 11, folks, because they'll pick centre midfielders at centre back. But they are the only 2 players from Real Madrid and Barcelona in the best 11. Let's have a look then at how things are looking here at Real Madrid. They were predicted to finish 4th. They finished 4th, I guess. So they've got Champions League football. If we look at things here, they lost in the semi-final to who else was it going to be? It was Manchester City. And, well, how did Manchester City do in the final? They won the whole thing. So Manchester City are loving this alternative universe. They're getting Champions League success. Maybe I should log that as a bug. Of course, we already know Real Madrid lost at Barcelona in the FA Cup. And in the EFL Cup quarter-final, I didn't spot this before, they also lost to Barcelona. So they're really not having a good time, are Real Madrid. They must be quite upset about the fact Barcelona had to follow in their footsteps. I assume Zidane is still their manager. Indeed he is. Who have they spent money on? Who did they sign with Premier League money? So they brought in Jamie Forrest of Celtic, which I don't really understand, but that's a thing that they did. The other player they brought in was Bruno Fernandes from Sporting, and he's done okay. He's not really played that many games for them. Bruno Fernandes, I really like to watch in real life. I think he's a really entertaining footballer. Is he of the calibre of Real Madrid in Football Manager? I mean, it might be harsh to say no, but I'm not sure he is. I realise we didn't look at the Barcelona sales here, but you can see Nacho Monreal has moved on to Arsenal. Mariano's moved on to Everton. They sold Casemiro to Manchester City, who actually hasn't done that well, so maybe that was a good sale to make. I'm just curious, who did Barcelona sell anyone? I mean, that would explain things perhaps a little more. Okay, they sold Coutinho to Chelsea, although he would have been out on loan the first year. So I am really surprised at how much Barcelona struggled. You can see Liverpool ran away with things. Chris Wood, by the way, second top goal scorer again. So what we're learning, the big learning point I'm taking away from this is that I should sign Chris Wood in all my Football Manager saves because apparently he's an absolute god. But Yeah, he's been doing absolute bits. You can see here, Vinicius Jr., 15 goals to his name. So a player who doesn't necessarily get a ton of opportunities normally at Real Madrid, at least from what I've observed in Football Manager. He's playing a decent number of games as a striker, and that seems to be where he's really kind of plying his trade. Barcelona's top goal scorer was Messi, and actually, to be fair, Bruno Fernandes, maybe I was being harsh on him. 11 goals really isn't that bad for a midfielder at all. If we look at top assisters, you can see here Mark Albrighton. They say he's the assisting equivalent of Wood, in case you didn't know. Anyway, Real Madrid's Everton actually did pretty well. He got 8 assists and 18 key passes, so he looks like he might have been a good longer-term investment. It's interesting, actually, that they seem to be leaning a little bit more on younger players, Barcelona and Real Madrid, to actually put in the best performances. We can have a quick look at the highest average ratings here. So Griezmann had a pretty good year. 7.48 average rating is nothing to be scoffed at. Aguero couldn't quite match his previous year, and a lot of Liverpool players featuring here, although I guess that could be explained by the way in which they ran away with the league. You can see Suarez and Depay doing pretty well. Vinicius Jr. we'd expect to be there. And yeah, there's not a whole lot of players in the best, players here from Real Madrid or Barcelona. How are they defensively? Because I've not really noticed any of their defenders. Goals conceded. Real Madrid conceded 42 and Barcelona conceded 39. I mean, in Barcelona's case, and actually, to be fair, even in Real Madrid's case, they had 2 of the better defences in the league by quite a big margin. And Barcelona actually scored a lot of goals as well. I can't help but feel like they've just lost a lot quite narrowly. I mean, you look at the teams they've drawn against there. They're all kind of teams that they're going to be fiercely competitive against. Let's have a look at managerial movements here. So, this season, Carlo Ancelotti came in for Pochettino. Emery was sacked. And Marcelino came in at Arsenal. Frank Lampard was sacked and hasn't been replaced as of yet. So it'll be interesting to see who maybe comes in for him. Nuno has been sacked from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Pellegrini's gone. Roy Hodgson's gone. Quique Sanchez Flores, who's already gone, is gone. I mean, in real life, that is. And Mark Hughes, I'm sorry, you've been replaced by Tim Sherwood at the Blackburn side that was promoted and has continued to finish rock bottom of the league on 15 points. That's a sad tale, isn't it? Anyway, you can see here the injury table as well. So it looks like maybe Barcelona and Real Madrid got unlucky with injuries. I wouldn't read into that too much. I mean, Real Madrid finished where they were predicted to. It was really Barcelona who underperformed. I'm interested to see if Valverde is still their manager at the end of next year. So let's go forward and find out. This will be the last time we continue forward. So hold on to your horses. Don't go anywhere. Let's head to 2022. Well, the good news is that if you're a Barcelona fan, you got Champions League football next year. The great news is if you're a Manchester City fan, you've almost got 100 points again. How have they managed that? I really thought in adding Barcelona and Real Madrid, it was going to shake up the big dogs. And truth be told, City and Liverpool have done quite well. Now, Manchester United, despite finishing 8th, have actually got a European Cup spot. I guess they won the Europa League. We can have a look here. Yeah, they won the Europa League against Monaco. Steve Bruce is that. I don't like this universe. Steve Bruce is Manchester United manager. Let's move on. That he's won the Europa League with them. Yeah, you can see here City leading the way, followed by Liverpool, and then we come to Barcelona and Real Madrid. Chris Wood is still one of the top goal scorers in the league. Basically, folks, sign Chris Wood. He's going to do magic for you. You can see Frankie de Jong, top of the assists in the Premier League. So the 25-year-old finding his rhythm. He's not playing centre-back, I assume. He played it once. Well, the media will probably still have him in the best 11 at centre-back. But yes, him and Hazard actually joined top. So good to see some Barcelona and Real Madrid representation there. Let's look at the managerial movements for this year. So Valverde was sacked, marked as time for change. That's very deep, isn't it? We'll have to see next time out, next episode in this simulates, who comes in for him. I'm curious to see who they might go for. Ancelotti's been sacked. Marcelino's been sacked. Solskjaer was sacked in March. They sacked him quite late into the season then, did Manchester United. And, well, there's been a lot of managerial changes looking at things here. You can see Wolverhampton Wanderers, they're going through managers right now. And it's been a big kind of jumble up. You can see oddly enough, Danny Cowley left Huddersfield to go to Villa, and Solskjaer, he's landed on his feet, everyone. He's got the Huddersfield Town job where they're going to be going into the Championship. It's a disaster for him. This has been a weird thing. I don't know if any of this is caused by like a butterfly effect. Would Manchester United have finished 8th if Barcelona and Real Madrid weren't here? Probably not, you'd have to say. Let's have a look at the big transfers, and wow, I saw some Real Madrid transfers there. So they signed Messi from Milan for 67 million. That is a lot of money to spend on a defensive midfielder, especially one who only played 9 matches and got a 6.66 average rating. That is not good. Not good. You can see the usual suspects flogging some cash. I feel sorry for Leverkusen. They've lost both Guy Havertz and Leon Bailey in the same transfer window. You can see Ruben Diaz has been picked up by Manchester City. Douglas Costa was signed by Liverpool. Hurtado signed by Manchester United. I mean, they're not spending as much money as I was necessarily expecting. You can see Barcelona picked up Guerrero. Let's have a look at who else Barcelona signed and their season on the whole. So they spent only 37 million. They didn't spend a lot. Now, we can actually have a look at their finances here. And their finances are in a pretty good spot. They made a lot of money, apparently, on the whole. But it is interesting. They're not kind of swimming in money. But they have got a lot of excess wage budget left over. And with Valverde now sacked, you got to wonder how they might reinvest it. You can see they were predicted to finish 3rd this year. So they matched their expectations. In the various cup competitions they're in the EFL Cup, where did they get to? They lost in the quarterfinals to Chelsea. Of course, they didn't have European football this year, which probably helped them focus on the league. They lost to Chelsea again in the FA Cup final. That's a little heartbreaking. And well, as we know, in the league, without any distractions, they did quite well. On the other hand, Real Madrid, still led by Zidane. He's not been sacked. He probably won't be sacked this year. They spent 110 million. We've looked at the Messi signing. They also signed Wilmar Barrios, who is another quite defensively minded player who, in truth, didn't play a whole lot of games for them. Some questionable signings being made here. And the other player they signed is this guy who I'm not familiar with, but Christian Luyendama, I guess. He got a 6.52 average rating in 16 games. Now, I realise not everyone who watches these videos plays Football Manager. That, by all accounts, is potato. And that might be an insult, but it's not. What's the worst kind of potato? Mashed potato? Is that a controversial statement? I don't know. Either way, it's not been that great. On the outs, they let go of Dani Ceballos. They also let go of Isco Benzema. So, a little bit of times for change there. I didn't actually notice if Barcelona sold anyone. They sold Rakitic for 4.9 million, and that was kind of that. And he doesn't look particularly good either, so that probably makes sense as a sale. I'm surprised Real Madrid did as well as they did, considering how poor their signings seem to do. But you can see here, Everton has really, really done well for them. He was obviously one of the signings they made in their first year. He got 14 league goals for them in the Prem. So he's done okay. I mean, we can look at the top goal scorers here. Griezmann was Barcelona's top goal scorer with 15. Everton got 14 goals for Real Madrid. You can see Eden Hazard down here as well. And Messi still kind of doing Messi things, even if he's age 35. We already looked at the assisters, but if we just look at the highest average ratings, where are we looking for average ratings, Jack? Open your eyes. Here it is. So Eden Hazard doing very, very well. And then a Barcelona trio of Griezmann, Messi and De Jong just doing their thing, having very good ratings. Anything above a 7 is an above average season. Anything above a 7.3 is just a superb season. So, yeah, they've done pretty well. And Lewis Cook sneaking in for Bournemouth. I think that's the first time I've noticed someone outside of the top 8, he says in inverted commas with his fingers, kind of making a quotation thing. But the top 8 that's been established here, we've seen someone break into it. If we look at the season preview, you can see how things were predicted to pan out, kind of as you'd expect. Ter Stegen is considered the best goalkeeper in the league now. That's not entirely surprising. He's absolutely nuts here. Interestingly enough, though, Jean-Claire Todibo has developed absolutely superbly here at Barcelona. I don't know if I've ever seen him get this good. He's actually nuts at 22. He's one of the best centre-backs in the league, so he's doing very, very well. But that is their only representation, oddly enough. You can see Todibo and Griezmann, the top 2 players for Barcelona. For Real Madrid, it's all about Hazard and Courtois leading the way there. I'm surprised at how many of the big teams are going through managers. Obviously, the fact that Manchester United, Arsenal, Tottenham and Barcelona have switched their managers in the space of about 2 months kind of gives the impression that a managerial merry-go-round has happened. Of course, in real life this year, lots of the big teams have already sacked their managers, and it makes you wonder, if this happened in real life, would managers be changing even more quickly? There's just a lot of expectation, even for a team like Arsenal, even with the better teams in the league. I imagine their board want them to do a little bit better than finishing 8th, even if that's what they're predicted to do. And as we've seen by the fact that half of the managers who finished in the top 8 got sacked, there's definitely increased competition going on, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the slightly more long-term future here. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up this experiment from us today. This is only part 1. We'll have a part 2 looking at some of the longer-term effects coming up next time. If there's anything that I didn't show in this video that you think would be good for the experiment, just to see extra details, players, stats, whatever it may be, let me know it down in the comments. If I think it's a good idea, we'll include it in part 2. Shout out to all of you for watching as always, and a big shout out again to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Those of you who have been around here a while will know I've never really done sponsored content before, so it would be massively appreciated if you do check out the referral link at the top of the description. It's an app that I used in my own time before they approached me, so I don't really have any concerns promoting it to you guys. It's completely free to check out, and I use it anyway, so I recommend giving it a go. I feel like if you're a football fan, it's free, so why not give it a go? But you will find some use out of it, even if it's just checking scores, at the weekend when you're busy. That's what I tend to use it for a lot of the time. But anyway, I've rambled on for long enough today. I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.